Well, today, everybody, in this video, I'm going to be talking about this guitar, which is essentially the most infamous guitar that I currently own. And I want to give an update on this guitar and essentially do the video that this guitar deserves, okay? This guitar is my 2022 Gibson Les Paul Custom Silverburst with a broken headstock. So for those of you guys who've been following this channel, you guys know the story behind this guitar. In case you're new here, what's up? If you want to subscribe, I'd really sincerely appreciate it. I'll give you the bare bones, really fast story. I bought this guitar used. It was a broken headstock repair guitar. I bought it as such, and when it showed up, the guitar was broken again. The headstock was snapped off once again. Rather than sending it back, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make this guitar my own, because this guitar, this literal aesthetic, everything is literally my dream guitar. I've said it a million times on this channel, a Silverburst Gibson Les Paul Custom was and still is to this day my dream guitar. So I found it incredibly ironic, just like Alanis Morissette, man. Like, of course, the guitar that I want, the dream guitar that I want, would show up, you know, essentially in two pieces. But rather than getting all upset about it, I was like, you know what? Maybe this is just the universe's way of saying, like, this is your guitar and run with it. So what I did, man, was I just grabbed some glue and a clamp and I just did that repair myself. And that's honestly probably my favorite thing about this guitar, is I did that myself. Whenever you do something to anything in life, but, you know, sticking with guitars, man, whenever you do a modification or a repair or whatever you want to call it, man, like, whenever you do something, like, you grow, in my opinion, like a sense of attachment to it. Kind of like what Wes Borland said about Loog guitars.
The more involved I am with the building of a guitar, the more I feel attached to it. There's actually a company called Loog Guitars that makes 3-string guitars that come in a kit that are for kids, that they build, and part of their philosophy is that when the owner of a product has you know, input on putting it together, has to do some of the work themselves, they feel a lot more attached and are a lot more likely to favor that instrument.
And because I did it myself, like, I felt a sense of like pride and, like, I don't know, TLC, no pun intended. It's ironic I'm wearing this shirt, but, like, you know what I mean? Like, I felt a sense of like, this is my guitar now. I almost like want to take care of it and like keep it now because, you know, we have a history already. And because I did the repair on the headstock myself, this guitar by default inherently got a ton of haters. And for that, I think that's so rad, man. Like, what a weird concept. People, like, they want this guitar to fail, or they're saying that this guitar is going to fail. It's not going to last, all the above. And for me, it's like, oh yeah, like, all right, well, you know, we'll wait and see, I guess. But I don't know. It's just like, what a wild concept to, like, just be a downer on a guitar, dude. So as soon as I repaired the headstock, I got really, really into pickup swapping last summer. That was like the main focal point for this channel in 2023. And I immediately swapped out the stock Gibson 498 pickup, and I put in one of the DiMarzio Steve Vai Utopias. Shout out to DiMarzio pickups. I love DiMarzio. Around the same time, I was writing my album that just came out last week, and I wrote a song and recorded a song on the album called Strawberry Mansion, and this guitar was literally used on that entire track. So looking back on it, it was almost like this sense of like, all right, this guitar is broken. This guitar has been repaired. Now let's just do as much as possible as we can with it. And like I said, to kind of put the broken headstock repair to the test. Let's just see what happens. Let's see what we can get out of this guitar, you know? After I recorded that song, I then swapped out the Steve Vai Utopia because the baby blue didn't really, I mean, it kind of matched the aesthetic, but not really. And I took out an old Seymour Duncan distortion out of one of my other Les Pauls and put it in this guitar right here. And now the black and white, you know, certainly matches the aesthetic much more accurately, I guess we'll say. So this guitar, since I've had it, has already had 3 different bridge pickups. The next thing I did is I went to Lowe's and I went into the hardware department and I got some of the eye screws that I always like to put in my guitars. I didn't come up with that. There's lots of players that do that, but that really works well for me, especially playing live. Reason why I did it, well, 1, because I think it looks sick. 2, it's practical. And 3, I was this close to taking this guitar out on the road. The only reason why I did it is because I felt as though it might be a tad unprofessional to like bring out a guitar and use it almost as like a science experiment when you're being hired for a job. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't want to have this guitar fail ultimately. I didn't want the headstock to re-break traveling from different climates and being, you know, rattled around in the back of a trailer and stuff like that. So I felt as though that might be, like I said, a little bit too unprofessional. So I didn't take it out on the road, but, you know, maybe in my next endeavor, if I get hired for another job or go out with FTFD again, who knows, man? Maybe if, you know, the opportunity presents itself, maybe this thing will go out on the road. I ultimately want to, but you know what I'm saying? It's just like, I don't know, like being hired for a job, it's irresponsible to like treat it as like I said, like an experiment. And now throughout the duration of this video, this guitar has been in drop A sharp with a low 68 on the A sharp string to kind of further test, can a headstock break, you know, hold and do the job of what I'm trying to do. So far, so good, right? And then the last thing I did recently is I put in some Hipshot locking tuners up on the headstock. I put locking tuners on essentially all my guitars, and especially with Les Pauls. I really like the Hipshots. I have one with Schallers, but Hipshots, 1, they're just easier to install, and 2, they work perfectly in my opinion. So everybody, this is my guitar. I feel just as attached to this guitar as I do any of the other guitars that I own. And like I said, man, like, especially because people want to see this guitar fail, it's almost like, in the words of Michael Jordan, I take that personally. You know what I mean? Like, this is mine, man. How dare you, you know, talk badly about, you know, my prized possession, man. This thing's rad, dude. You know, maybe that comes from a place of jealousy or whatever. But regardless, man, sticking with the positives here, like, this thing is everything I could ask with the guitar. Sure, would I want the headstock to, you know, have been repaired and stayed repaired when I bought it? Sure, I guess, right? Obviously. But, you know, it certainly does make a story, and a good story in my opinion. And it's just kind of cool how, like, you know, sometimes if you just, like, I don't know, man, if you just put a little love into something and ignore a little bit of imperfections, like, you can get something pretty cool out of it. And I would like to think I have something really, really cool with this guitar. So everybody, that is my dedicated video on my Gibson Les Paul Custom. What do you guys think of my thoughts and opinions? What do you guys think of this guitar? What do you think of the tones? Shout out to the mic stringer plugin. That's what I was using for the duration of this video. But yeah, man, what do you guys think of this guitar? I love it so much, obviously, and I would love to hear from you guys, okay? So like I said in the beginning of this video, if you want to subscribe, I'd really sincerely appreciate it. And with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video, all right? Later.